Hi guys, good evening. Welcome to our Sudhir NEET Biology Academy. I am your Dr. Mohan Nangappan. Today, let us take up one chapter in human physiology, that is the chemical coordination. The chemical coordination. In the chemical coordination chapter, today we confine ourselves to the general introduction of the endocrine glands and their origin, particularly the hypothalamus, the structure of hypothalamus in association with the pituitary gland. So today we are going to talk about the general introduction of endocrine glands and particularly about the hypothalamus in connection with the structure of pituitary gland. Alright. So endocrine glands are the glands which secrete the hormones directly into the bloodstream without any duct. So they are called as the ductless glands. They secrete hormones. As per NCERT, they are given a definition that hormones are produced in trace amount. Hormones are produced in trace amount. Very little amount they are produced, and then they are non-nutrient in nature. Very important. When we ask the NEET point of view, nutrient or non-nutrient. Hormones are non-nutrient in nature and they are intercellular chemical messengers. They act in between the cells. So they are called as the intercellular chemical messengers. So 3 points you must remember regarding the hormones. Number 1, they are produced in trace amount, little amount. Number 2, they are non-nutrient in nature. And number 3, they are intercellular chemical messengers. They take the messages of the hormones or of the chemicals to all parts of the body by intercellular mechanism. So they are intercellular non-nutrient chemical messengers produced in trace amount. This is very important. This may be asked in the NEET point of view. Right. If you take the endocrine glands, what are all the endocrine glands? You can refer the diagram in your 11th NCERT book, page number 332. Here they are given one full diagram indicating the glands. Endocrine glands. So what are the endocrine glands and what is their origin? What do you mean by the origin? So every organism or every part of our body is produced from a zygote. Zygote, so during embryology, the zygote divides into 2 and then 4 and 8, 16, and then from which all the parts of the body are produced. So zygote is divided into many cells producing blastula, and then blastula into a gastrula that contains 3 layers: outer ectoderm, inner mesoderm and inner endoderm. So these 3 layers are the layers from which all the parts are produced. That is called organogenesis. So in this way, from which layer the endocrine glands are produced. That's very important. As the NEET point of view, it is very, very important. See, what are all the endocrine glands? Pituitary gland, hypothalamus, pineal. Let us take these 3 first. Hypothalamus, pituitary and pineal, since they are inside the brain. They are inside the brain. So do you know what is the origin of brain? Brain is ectodermal in origin. This is produced from the ectoderm. Since they are inside the brain, hypothalamus, pituitary and pineal, these three glands are inside the brain. They are ectodermal in origin. Next gland, thyroid and parathyroid. 2 thyroid glands and 4 parathyroid glands in the neck region. They are endodermal in origin. They are produced from the endodermis layer, inner layer. And then thymus, a small gland near the heart, that's also produced by the endodermal in origin. And then pancreas, you know the pancreas is both exocrine and endocrine, heterocrine, by having islets of Langerhans. So that pancreas is mesodermal in origin. It's very important. Pancreas is mesodermal in origin, that is produced from the mesoderm layer. And then adrenal. You know, adrenal is the complex structure gland on the kidney. They are called as the suprarenal gland. That adrenal contains 2 parts, inner medulla and outer cortex. The outer cortex region is mesodermal in region and inner medulla region is ectodermal in origin. So inner cortex of adrenal is mesodermal and medulla of adrenal is ectodermal in origin. And then finally ovary and testis, that is both mesodermal and endodermal. So these are all the glands and their origin. I repeat for your convenience. Hypothalamus, pituitary and pineal, ectodermal. Thyroid and parathyroid, endodermal. Thymus, also endodermal. Pancreas, mesodermal in origin. Adrenal cortex, mesodermal. Adrenal medulla, ectodermal. And ovary and testis, they are both mesodermal and endodermal. So this is the introduction about the endocrine glands. Now we shall take up the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, the structure of hypothalamus, and how this hypothalamus communicates with the pituitary gland. How it acts as an endocrine gland. Let us see now. So hypothalamus links the central nervous system and the endocrine nervous system. So hypothalamus is a part of brain that links the central nervous system, brain, and the adrenal and the endocrine system. So this hypothalamus, this region, is the link between the brain and the pituitary. Link between the central nervous system and the pituitary. And then it has got many neurosensory structures called nuclei. That nuclei produce hormones. These hormones produced by the hypothalamus regulates the synthesis and the secretion of the pituitary secretions or pituitary hormones. That means hypothalamus has a control over the secretion of the pituitary gland. Let us see how. This hypothalamus has got 2 types of hormones. One, releasing hormone. Number 2, inhibitory hormone. It secretes 2 types of hormones. One, releasing hormones. Number 2, inhibitory hormones. This releasing hormones stimulates the secretion of pituitary hormones. These releasing hormones of the hypothalamus help in the production of the pituitary hormones. For example, GnRH That means gonadotropic releasing hormone. Gonadotropic releasing hormone. Pituitary secretes, the anterior pituitary secretes 6 hormones, out of which 3 are gonadotropins. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone, and LTH, luteotrophic hormone. These 3 hormones are called as the gonadotrophic hormones because they actually take part in the reproduction. So that gonadotropins, the secretions of the gonadotropins of the anterior pituitary is controlled by the releasing hormone. For example, GnRH, gonadotropic releasing hormone of the hypothalamus. So it helps in the production of the pituitary hormones. The same way, it also inhibits. Second type of hormone is called inhibitory hormone. That inhibitory hormone actually inhibits the production of the pituitary hormones. They stop the hormones produced by the pituitary. Example, somatostatin, very important hormone. Somatostatin, this hormone produced by the hypothalamus inhibits the release of the growth hormone, GH, or somatotrophic hormone, secreted by the anterior pituitary, one of the hormones produced by the anterior pituitary. So this hypothalamus forms a link between the central nervous system and the pituitary by releasing the releasing hormones and the inhibitory hormones. Right. Now, this is the hypothalamus. This is the diagram you can see in the 11th NCERT page number 333. Now we can see how this hypothalamus is connected with the pituitary. Okay, this portion is the hypothalamus, and here there is a circulation called portal circulation. I will tell you, I will explain. Portals, this is a portal circulation, and then these are the hypothalamic neurons, the neurons from the hypothalamus initiating the pituitary glands. How these hypothalamic neurons act? If you take the pituitary gland, the pituitary gland has got 2 parts, one anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary is larger, that is 75% of the pituitary gland. The posterior pituitary is smaller, having 25% of the pituitary. Okay. Now, the mechanism of action of the anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary entirely differs. This is the portal system. The anterior pituitary is controlled by the hypothalamic neurons through the portal circulation, whereas this posterior pituitary is directly controlled by the hypothalamus. Posterior pituitary is under direct control of the hypothalamus. These points are very, very important. It's a NEET point of view. There is a mess in your NCERT book, so I am making it very clear here. So the anterior pituitary is initiated by the hypothalamic neurons through the portal circulation, hypophyseal portal circulation, whereas the posterior pituitary is directly initiated by the hypothalamic neurons. That means posterior pituitary part does not secrete any hormone. The 2 hormones, oxytocin and vasopressin, secreted or produced by this posterior pituitary are actually produced by the hypothalamus and is stored in this posterior pituitary. So posterior pituitary directly does not produce any hormones. There is oxytocin and the ADH vasopressin. These two hormones are produced by the hypothalamus and then it is stored in the posterior part of the pituitary. Whereas, let us come to this anterior part. This acts through the hypophyseal portal system. So what do you mean by a portal system? The portal system is a part of the venous system. Here there is a vein called the portal vein taking the deoxygenated blood. Very important. In this portal system, deoxygenated blood is involved. Impure blood is involved. No pure blood is involved. That is taken by the portal vein. Portal vein. So here this portal system is called as the hypophyseal portal system. This diagram you can refer in 11th NCERT page number 333. From the hypothalamus, the neurons go to the anterior pituitary through this portal system. That means the blood comes from the hypothalamus to the anterior pituitary through the hypophyseal portal vein. That is very important. So from the hypothalamus, the impure blood goes into the anterior pituitary through this hypophyseal portal system. This hypophyseal portal system allows a fast endocrine communication between hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. So what is the purpose of this portal system, hypophyseal portal system, is that it allows a fast endocrine communication between the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. So now I hope you are clear that how this hypothalamus is connected to the pituitary gland. It is connected both to the posterior and anterior, but to the anterior pituitary through the portal circulation, whereas to the posterior pituitary directly it is involved. Okay, this is about the hypothalamus and the hypophyseal portal system. Now let us take up the structure of pituitary gland. The chemicals involved, etc. Let us take up the next video. Here you can see the structure of pituitary gland because it is connected with the hypothalamus. So this pituitary gland, otherwise called as the hypophysis, pituitary or hypophysis, it has two parts. One, adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary, this portion, and number two, neurohypophysis or posterior pituitary, this portion. This neurohypophysis or posterior pituitary is also called as the pars nervosa. Pars nervosa. The pituitary, the anterior pituitary, the larger part of the pituitary, anterior pituitary or adenohypophysis has got two parts, pars distalis and pars intermedia. Pars distalis and pars intermedia are the two parts of the anterior pituitary. Pars neurosa is otherwise called as the posterior pituitary. Now another question here you must remember. Out of these three, pars distalis, pars intermedia and pars nervosa, which is vestigial in organ, vestigial in function. That means it is vestigial, it doesn't have any function. Pars intermedia is very important. Pars intermedia is the vestigial part of the pituitary gland. Okay, so this anterior pituitary is connected to hypothalamus by the portal system, we already seen. Right, so the structure of pituitary or hypophysis, another name. Two parts, adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary, neurohypophysis or posterior pituitary. Adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary has got two parts, pars distalis and pars intermedia, whereas this neurohypophysis is called as the pars nervosa. Of these three, pars intermedia is vestigial in organ. So the 6 hormones produced by the anterior pituitary are from the pars distalis. Pars intermedia doesn't produce any hormones. So I hope you are clear about the endocrine system, the endocrine glands, the origin of endocrine glands, the important features of the hormones, and then hypothalamus, the structure of hypothalamus, and then the hormones produced by the hypothalamus, how the hypothalamus controls the pituitary, and the portal system, hypophyseal portal system we have explained. And just to introduce pituitary gland, I have taken the structure of this pituitary gland because it is involved with this hypothalamus. In the next video, we shall take up the chemicals produced, hormones produced by the pituitary gland and their actions and their disorders. So this is a very important area of the NEET point of view. Okay, let us meet in the next video. Till then, thank you very much.